We are preparing, so give us one more second here. It's pushing over to YouTube Live. All right, we are live now on YouTube.
Yay.
And it'll start to come through in a minute. People's computers will sync up and start to get the notifications. And when that happens, people will start to join in. I'm going to try to find this on my phone, which I have, and it's loading up. Good. All right, so I can monitor that. So we have nobody tuning in yet, but hopefully they will be. Let's see. Oh, yep, Terry Barrier's on, so I can see. Good. Hello, Terry. All right, so
Terry all this.
we welcome everyone who is joining in, or if you're watching this as a recorded video, know that we continue to have these kinds of interactions with our reopening task force at Royal Lane in order to help to keep information in front of you on what we are doing at the church to prepare to regather whenever that time happens. So we are glad you're here. I'm Mike Gregg. I am the pastor of Royal Lane, and we are joined by 3 of our task force, reopening task force members. We have Alan Greider, Sandy Washington, and Betty Meacham. And so I'm going to go ahead and pass over the agenda to Alan, and he'll take us through some information. Alan?
All right. My name's Alan Greider. I'm a deacon and also the head of the worship committee. And so I got asked to be on the reopening task force. And so we meet every week. We've actually gone to every other week now because things are kind of at a standstill. But the first thing that we wanted everybody to know, because we've talked about this at our meetings, is that we want to, everybody wants to open the church. We all want to open it. If you're, I hope you don't think that we're stopping it from being open, but we just feel like it can't be done right this minute. So we're trying to do the right thing here. So we're waiting. So we don't have a date. We had a couple dates, but they just keep getting pushed. So we don't have a date at this point, but we'll, as soon as we, get to a point where we think we can have a tentative date, then we'll say that. What we wanted to do today, one of the things is we do have a reopening task force or a reopening plan. It's a document that will be posted on the website under the COVID-19 resources. And we just wanted to sort of go through it briefly and let you know just the basic plan, what it says. It starts with our purpose, our vision. And I'm not going to read every single word of the thing, but I do want to read this first part. The vision of the reopening task force is to provide for the care of our community while carefully reinstating in-person worship. We long for the spiritual gift of communal worship, and we desire a return to the sanctuary in a safe and well thought out manner. And so this is sort of an overview. It's not, we went back and forth about different plans and looked at other churches' plans. Some of them we felt were almost too detailed. They were pages and pages and pages and pages long. And so we felt like a distilled version was most appropriate. And of course, there is already additional COVID-19 information and resources. There will also be, they're not there yet, but there will also be some informational videos. We're going to talk about a couple of those topics after this. But there's informational videos about some of the procedures and plans that will be in place when we go back. All right, so first of all, we have basically a chart, the phased reopening plan. And it covers 4 areas: worship, Sunday school, childcare, and staff. And right now, we're at the current. Everything's online. There is no childcare. The staff is remote or intermittent on site. Obviously, people are there on the days when there is recording going on for the Sunday service, things like that, but they're not there all the time. And then we broke the rest of it into 3 phases, as you can see. And phase 1 is still meeting online, but then perhaps having some outdoor activities with physical distancing and face covering. And then phase two, which is the one where it really that we're looking forward to, is where we can get back to worship in the sanctuary. But when we go to that phase, it would be only in the sanctuary with a limited number. And of course, the online will continue. Sunday schools will not meet at that point, and childcare will be provided by family groups. There still will not be any organized childcare. And then phase 3, which is the phase that's basically as normal as we can get it, is open participation. The online service continues. We will continue that. And then we will be able to start having our Sunday schools in person and or online, depending on who's in that Sunday school and what they want to do. And then we will have some childcare with some sort of screening. So that's basically, the as much back to normal phase as we can get. And then the next table is just talking about different groups. And this is one of the things that we've, talked about in our meetings, is the vulnerable populations, and then children, babies and toddlers. What are we going to do with them? That kind of stuff. And so that sort of breaks it down by phase. And of course, vulnerable populations, and that's something that Betty is going to talk about later, is that we hope that they will continue to worship online. And then if they are considered vulnerable, they will, use when we do go back, they'll use their discretion as to whether they want to go back or not. And of course, those with symptoms of COVID-19, notice all the way across, it says worship and participate online. So I think that's pretty, understandable. And then the rest of it is just broken down into adults, children, babies, and toddlers. And so in each phase, it talks about, where those people are going to be and what they're going to do. At first, when we're first in the sanctuary, children will be staying with their parents or family group. And then by the time we get to phase 3, we will be able to have some childcare and the groups of kids. And of course, that's true with babies and toddlers as well. Staying with family groups at first, and then eventually segueing to, back to as much normal as we can. And then the next slide was the different groups. The worship team right now, they're coming up on Tuesdays to record everything for each Sunday. What we're looking forward to in phase 1 is that we might be able to have some more people besides just Harry and David and, one other person at a time. But we got to get there. And then when we get back to worshiping in the sanctuary, we can have an increased number of participants, but still with the physical distancing. And then you see the office staff there, the kind of their flow, closed, limited, full-time. Music, that would include choir or any kind of solos or anything like that. We're right now, we're either we were doing live stream, now we're doing recorded, and we do have some solo performers that come and record. We're looking at, in phase one is maybe doing some groups, but we haven't gotten there yet. And then, of course, when we get back to the sanctuary in phase two, increased number of participants with physical distancing. There's a lot of question out there as to whether we can do choir, and right this minute, the general consensus is we can't. So that's a disappointment to a lot of us, but it's just a reality of our situation. And then worship events, no use of the outdoor space, then limited number of participants, and then of course, increased number of participants in phase two. And then of course, phase three is normal. Community events. And right now we say, well, no use of indoor space and then outdoor space using the guidelines. I just got an email today about a mission opportunity where they're collecting things. And so that's going to happen at the church outside, of course. So that's, that's an example of that. And then we'll segue through each stage until we get back to normal. So we kind of came up with some things that we, like, what is our point? Why are we meeting? And so we came up with these things to provide a rich worship experience while being responsible to our parishioners and our community, to reduce the internal risk from SARS-CoV-2 and reduce the risk to the larger community, to give advice and guidance to the leadership. We're kind of working with them. We're working with the ministers. In other words, we talk about what they want, but they also are asking us what we think. So we're working together on it. And the last two, to advocate for methods of worship that engender care for the entire Royal Lane community until the task force deems that it is safe for everyone to return in person with low risk. We are very concerned about opening and then having something happen that is just, for us, it would be a disastrous scenario if we were to return and then somebody got sick. And then the last thing, to make plans for the day when it's safe for us to return. So that's kind of our mission. And then the plan, it talks about the plan, and basically that's what we just went through. But in the middle of that statement there, we recognize that COVID-19 does not follow our plan. And so that's why we're trying to be adaptable and we watch the data and the number of cases and the number of deaths, and we are keeping track of that because we're wanting to see it on a downward trajectory. And if you pay attention to that at all, it's not on a downward trajectory, not really. Maybe we're getting there. We hope we're getting there, but not there yet. And so thank you so much for being patient with the process. And we value your input. If you have thoughts about some of this, these are the task force members. And so we certainly welcome your questions and input. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. I'm going to also say for those who are joining us on YouTube, if you do have questions, there's a little bit of a lag time with our real-time videoing and what you're seeing on YouTube. So go ahead and put your questions in, and I'll try to get to them as we find they are suitable to answer. So next up is Sandy.
Hi, I'm Sandy Washington, and I'm a member of the task force. I am a reserve deacon, or inactive deacon at Royal Lane, and in the mental health field. One of the things that we absolutely love to do together, we love to worship together, but we also like to socialize. So we love to pack the aisles after the service is over and catch up and just kind of talk and socialize together. When we come back together, we want to be able to do both the worship and the socializing, but we want to be intentional about doing it safely. So here is our plan. We're going to worship inside, socialize outside. When we arrive for Sunday service, we'll sanitize our hands, wear our mask, take our seats at a safe physical distance, and fully participate in the worship that we love so much. After the service, we will immediately exit the building. Then we can start to socialize. We will still wear our mask and maintain an appropriate physical distance from each other. But as long as we are outside in the open spaces, taking all recommended precautions, we can visit and socialize all we want. So we will be worshiping inside, catching up, visiting, and socializing outside. Until we meet in person, please stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you, Sandy. And now, Betty, why don't you present for us?
All right. My name is Betty Meacham. I'm a member of the task force. I'm also a reserve deacon. I didn't think about that till I heard Sandy say it. And the topic I was assigned was to talk about the special concerns and considerations of the 65 and older group, the senior citizens. And I guess my main contribution would be that I have experience in that category for a few years now. And so we'll be talking mainly about the group 65 and older, which is mentioned when they mention the more compromised possibility group. But we also want to remember that some people have underlying causes, conditions that might preclude them from also coming to church if and when, or not if, when we open. And so we are generally speaking 65, but there may be younger people in the group as well that have to think through some of these ideas I'm going to present. There are three areas that I thought about that were very important for us who call ourselves senior citizens and in this group to consider as we decide whether to return to church when it does open. We don't know when the date is. That's been mentioned now by Alan, and we say it every time we meet as a group, but it's a kind of a moving target, but we know it will happen. And when it does, it doesn't matter. We're still needing to be very safe. We've been told by many specialists that this disease is not going away in September, probably, or October, and maybe get better, but probably be watching out for this for a long time. And so as we think about what's safe for us, we really do need to consider some things specifically. Generally, everyone should, but we have some specifics. We have to carefully assess our own risk. I read somewhere that our age may make us wise, but it also puts us at higher risk. And so we're going to have to individually assess our own risk based on mental and physical issues that we may be dealing with. The CDC says there is a disproportionate impact on people, of course, with underlying and medical conditions. And again, this could be people that are below the age of 65 who have some of these conditions, but we know that it's a special group that needs to take special precautions. The usual underlying compromised conditions that are mentioned so often if you watch the news or any of the experts that talk about COVID, and you already know some of them, but we talk about them in terms of autoimmune diseases, diabetes, hypertension, heart conditions, kidney and liver disease, and many others that some of you would add if you are in those categories. Second thing, besides assessing our own risk, we need to be informed about the protocols that the task force is putting in place and that will be available and to ensure our safety, and so that there will be a good environment in which to worship. And you've heard some of those, but we will start at the front door. Everybody will come in one door. They will have a mask. If you don't have a mask, we're going to have some extras to give out. You don't need to return them. We'll ask you to take them with you. And then sanitizing stations all over, a safe distance from everybody, families sitting together, but 6 feet to the next group or whatever. And then Sandy talked about how we will exit. Which will be one of the protocols to make us safer. And that is to go out the front door that we came in probably, and the side door will be open for those in need of special aid, but going out the front. And then I think, you know, as she said, that's where you can socialize, but it doesn't mean be crazy and socialize. Take all you've learned with you out there, but it certainly then is between 2, 3 people, whoever socializing, to maintain the distance. The mask should be on, and to be careful and safe outside. Watch all of the videos. They've mentioned these. I put this video on basically with this information, and Alan and Sandy have videos there. So when they are uploaded and they're all there, go watch them just to reinforce what we're saying and to encourage yourself to look at what all you need to think about before making a decision. Number 3, I particularly thought this was important as we talk about a large group of people, 65 and older in our society. But it's something we have to decide based on our own best interest. Again, mentally and physically, and not what others think is best for us. I said here, except for maybe your doctor. We had one member of the task force said, my doctor said, do not go anywhere without a mask. So doctors may make instructions and give instructions to you that would preclude you from coming to the sanctuary. But we want you to be the person who makes the decision about what you need to do. And we hope you stay safe, that you will assess your risk when the time comes, that we can get back together. And we hope to see many of you there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And what I'm going to ask is, if you are online with us and have a question, go ahead and take a moment and put that in the chat box. And while you are doing that, I'll ask if the speakers have any final words to say while the questions come in.
I think about Jamie and Melissa leading us. They've done a great job. And Alan talked about data. And I just think it's really important to know that Jamie Luckett is probably one of the best leaders of a group that needed to look at this problem, this concern, this situation, because he's so data driven. And we're looking at data. And if it doesn't look like that, that things are settling down, and the trajectory is going in the way it needs to go for a period of time, not for a few days, but for 3 cycles. Am I right, Alan and Sandy? I think 3 cycles of so many weeks before we would say that then that's a good bit of data to base a decision on. Right. So I really want to say that's been at the base of what we all have discussed and how we've made some of the decisions.
Well said.
Anything else, Sandy or Alan?
Nope. I think I'm good. I mean, I think the main thing that I feel just from talking to my friends is that I want to ask for everyone's patience, because we all want to get back, and the reopening task force is not keeping us from getting back. We want to go back as much as you do, but we want to make a wise decision for the benefit of everybody. And so we just have to be patient. So I just ask for your patience.
Yeah, everybody on the task force has some expertise in some way or another. And though Melissa and particularly Jamie have given us all the data that we need, we all kind of fill in with our own expertise and what we think is important and is good for our congregation. So we're all looking at it. We meet regularly, and we're trying to do what's going to work for us. So
right. And we have a lot of voices. So that
we have a lot of voices.
Well, thank you. No questions came in, but very many comments of way to go, good job. They covered everything very well. So we are glad that we have experienced, skilled, knowledgeable people leading us as we continue to move forward together. So thank you for being here, and for all those listening in, have a blessed evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike. Bye-bye.